Welcome back. We're talking about habits. Today we're going to talk about what the perils are if we actually don't do this, if we don't stick to this habit. So my name is Deb Blum. I'm a self-love and authenticity coach. I'm also the host of this particular YouTube channel that you're listening to right now. And if you're enjoying these habits videos, I would love for you to go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click the bell next to it to be notified when I drop new videos. And I would love it if you would like this video and like any of the other videos that you listen to. That would be great. Feel free to post any questions or comments that you have in the comments below. And it's great to have you here. All right, so let's talk about the perils of not following through on your habits. Okay. So I want to talk first about general perils of not following through on habits, okay? So peril meaning danger, kind of like obviously this isn't like life or death. Well, it can be for some of us, right? It can be. One of the things I want to do is build in more habits that are supportive of my cholesterol being more well managed, so that you could make the argument that's life and death, right? Could be. So it's just worth using the word peril, because I think it's sort of like, what are the risks if you don't? But let me just talk first about the perils of not honoring your commitments to yourself. So being a self-love and authenticity coach, one of the things that really does feel important to me is for people to honor their commitments to themselves. But there's also a separate side to that, which is also not being so hard on ourselves and being a drill sergeant and driving us, because often the women that I work with tend to be hard on themselves. They're always pushing themselves and doing more, do more, and they never feel like they're enough. And so it's a risky place to talk about habits, because when you are an overachiever, when you work really hard, when you really, really demand a lot from yourself, building in habits can become just another thing that you become a drill sergeant on. And that is not what I'm interested in creating in people. It's not that. It's really being very careful and looking very closely at what things we are doing and are not doing in life, and what things are supportive of those bigger visions for our life and what things aren't. Because here's the thing, you can easily be a drill sergeant and get yourself to do all the things, right? You can be like, you need to, work X number of hours a day. I need to eat healthy food. I need to exercise. I need to this and that. But you might not really be looking at the bigger picture of your life. You're just doing the shoulds of life. You're doing all the things you should do. You may find out that when you actually examine your life at this very, very moment, you might find out that the most important commitment you can make to yourself is to ditch the habit of busyness, right? So the trick is this. If you're really trying to build something in your life, like you're trying to build things that really are oriented around you thriving, you creating the life that you want, you are going to come up in direct contrast. You're going to come into conflict with the egoic parts of you that are here to just merely keep you safe, to merely keep you alive. Things like not disappointing other people, not being embarrassed when you choose to eat a burger at dinner instead of a salad, which is like kind of, you doing your own thing. You not being that person who is bringing a dinner to a friend who is in need. And I'm not trying to tell you, I'm trying to turn you into a person who doesn't care about other people, but you sometimes have to dial it back and come back to what is the peril of you doing all these other things you're doing. Most often, the women I work with, they are totally abandoning themselves. They're not even available in many cases for their children the way they wish they could be. They're not able to really even nourish a partnership, a romantic partnership, because they are so busy doing all these other things. And I'm not saying that these things aren't important. They are, but we have to be incredibly discerning about what we say yes to and what we say no to. And the perils of not doing that are that we don't ever create the life we want to be creating. So we have to know we are coming up against these egoic parts we're going to talk about in a little bit, about patterns and parts in our past. And if you can notice, I have a P theme going on here because we do. And so right now we are talking about perils, and we're talking about, so a couple things. So first of all, really just carefully looking at the things that you are doing right now. That can be a habit you want to form. The habit can be that you are discerning and you're careful and you buy yourself a red pen and you actually take things off of your list and you start to say no to things. That was one of the most important and life-changing habits that I formed, is discernment for what I will and will not do in my life. And the habit of not being busy all the time. And so again, busyness is actually a habit that is rooted in the egoic places in our bodies and our beings. It's actually like a fear, it's scarcity. It's this idea that if I don't do more, I'm not enough. So going up against that is going to be hard. I invite people to, rather than going against it, to include it. And that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about parts, is to include it, to be like, oh, thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. And we're going to try to move in another direction now. Can I get you on board? Okay. Second thing, general perils. You know what it's like when somebody comes to you and they say that they're going to do something and then they don't do it. They don't honor their commitments. It's really disappointing, and we are really not happy with that situation, right? We also know what it's like when we say to somebody else that we're going to do it. We often will commit to doing that thing no matter what. We will get it done. And so I want you to think about that as sort of like a habit. Okay? It's a commitment to because habits are commitments to ourselves. To some degree, that's what it is. Now, it can become something that becomes just easy, and we get the reward cycles are firing, and it feels really natural to do it. But in the beginning, it's a commitment to do something for ourselves. And so when you make this commitment to yourself and you don't do it, you are often letting yourself down. Even if you brush it off and you rationalize, well, but I really didn't have the time, and oh, it was really me being gentle myself, and that was really too hard for me to do that, and I don't really, have the support systems to do it, right? But when you don't, but you notice you'll abandon yourself, you'll abandon all of your commitments to make sure you honor a commitment to another person. I want you to treat this particular habit that you're going to form as a commitment to yourself, that you won't disappoint yourself on it. That if you have to make shifts in your life for it, you will do that. Because when we make commitments to ourselves and then we don't honor them, we actually are really setting ourselves up for this cycle of we are not important. We basically say to ourselves, other people are more important to us. And as a self-love and authenticity coach, you can imagine how important it is to me that you make yourself a priority. And so that is part of one of the most important perils for you to be looking at, and for you to say, I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I'm going to be careful about what commitments I make, but when I make them, I'm going to stick to them. Which leads me to this piece right now, which is when you take a look at the perils of your specific habit, if you don't do that habit, I want you to play out 3 months, 6 months, 5 years, whatever it is, I want you to play it out to what is it going to look like in that time frame when you didn't do this. Are you going to be disappointed in yourself that you never did it? You're going to wish, oh my God, if I had just done that 2 years ago, I would be now, in this place. What other things will you not be able to achieve? What limits will it put on your life to not do that habit and have that play out to the potential that you wish it to play out to? What happens if those possibilities don't come true? What happens if that bigger vision doesn't come true? So think about those perils, but I also want you to just do one last thing, which is it is okay for you to make adjustments. If you look at this, when you look at the possibilities and the perils, and you start to think about this more and you say, yeah, this commitment that I'm trying to make actually isn't reasonable for me right now. This habit, it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's bad timing. Maybe there's a tweak or an adjustment, or there's a different habit that you want that's in support of it that seems a lot more accessible to you. It's okay. You don't have to do the most committed, hardcore thing. You don't have to say 7 days a week, I'm going to exercise and I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to make all these changes. No, do something that you can actually get the reward for. That reward cycle has to happen. Do that. Okay? So find the thing that's going to start to trigger that sense that you can feel proud of yourself, that you can see what's possible if you do this, and then you scaffold and do a little more in 3 weeks and a little more in 6 weeks. So take a look at the perils of not doing these things, the bigger perils of not honoring your own commitments to yourself, because that's pretty important, and the perils of the specific things that you're actually working on and what's going to happen if you don't do them. Like some people say, I think I've heard this, when you talk about timing, like if not now, when kind of thing, like just do it. Just do it. We keep on putting it off. I know whenever I would try to form a new habit, I used to do this thing where I would be like, okay, well, I'll start on Monday. But I learned that was actually not effective because I'd always had in my mind that I was just sort of doing it for that period of time instead of being like, no, I'm going to start. I'm going to make a plan, get clear in my head, answer some of these questions about the plan, the bigger vision, the possibilities, the perils, and some of the things we're going to be talking about in the next few episodes. Go through that process first, but then when you're ready, just do it. Just do it. Just see where it goes. What's the harm in trying to form a habit for a period of time? Right? And then it might stick. I think that we have the potential to make more things stick when we go through this process first, so that we actually really understand what it is that we're trying to achieve and all the things that get in the way of us achieving it. And then we feel actually excited about doing it. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode where we're going to be talking about in the next episode about a surprise because I'm not exactly sure yet, but I have like 5 ideas, and so you are just gonna have to wait and see what it is.